Hello, you Rowan. It has been a while since I've done an Alex Belfield video, but I have said to you that I will only do a new Alex Belfield when there is something to report. And I understand he's been moved again. Well, let's look at the context and the background to this. And what I think, knowing what I know, having had a friendship of many years with a convicted stalker, the insight I can give you as to what's going on. Now, we'll start with he's been moved again. And I don't care what his flying monkeys try to say and try to control the narrative. These are simply plain facts and my personal experience. Can't get past that. So, he was in HMP Stoke for about 13 months, give or take, a week here, a week there. And then he was in HMP 5 Wells for about 6 months or so. And now he's been transferred to HMP Earl Stoke near Devizes. I do have some questions. Firstly, is he bald yet? Because as I've told you in previous videos, when he was transferred to 5 Wells, Katie Hopkins was straight in there. Didn't hang around, was straight in there. She couldn't visit HMP Stoke, wasn't allowed. But she went straight to 5 Wells, and he's been transferred less than about, I would give it 10 days. Because we know from his Wikipedia page, or the Wikipedia page about Alex Belfield, we know that he was transferred possibly the first few days of April or the back end of March. And she said she was going to see him this weekend. Oh, don't hang about, Katie, do you? 2 gobshites live? Isn't it making a comeback? So I would suggest to you that Alex is being looked after by psychologists. Now, whether the transfers have anything to do with his mental health state is for them to know only. But knowing what I know, that when Alex gets highly anxious and stressed, his hair falls out. So I believe that whatever has gone on inside the 2 prisons so far, I believe he's highly anxious. And his hair could have fallen out, apart from the hair transplant that he had when he visited Turkey. Now, he has definite mental health issues. In my view, it's only a personal view, but I know him and have known him since he was 17. He's now 43. He'll have had his 43rd birthday in January. So, knowing what I know, he's now in the grip of the system. Make no mistakes, prison is not easy. Prison is not a fun place to be. And prison is not somewhere where you go to get on your knees with Belfield. But he's been transferred. He's now stayed in 3 separate Category C prisons. HMP Stoke, HMP 5 Wells and HMP Earl Stoke is another Category C prison for about 500 inmates, give or take. Some people say 494, some others say 500. But it is a prison for vulnerable prisoners. So I would suggest to you that for all his bluff and bravado when he was defending himself at Nottingham Court, I don't think that bluff and bravado is there. And I believe Katie Hopkins is visiting to try and keep him on a more positive tip. Pun intended. So he now has a single cell. And again, there's we'll go through what Earl Stoke Prison is and what it has and what it does in a moment. But he's a vulnerable prisoner, in my view. And I would suggest to you that he's a vulnerable prisoner according to the system. It's a Cat C prison. He's moved twice. He's staying in a Category C. He's not being, at the moment, trained for release. That will come at the beginning of 2025. He is due to be released on licence, not completely, but on licence in June 2025. Unless, of course, there are issues of some kind, in which case he may stay in or may be released into some kind of system. But it's all down to the conditions of his licence. That is June 2025. That's the scheduled licence release date. As I say, he's in a single cell with a toilet. Now, HMP Earl Stoke receives adult male prisoners from much of England and Wales. And I would also suggest to you that by going to HMP Stocken, which is easily accessible by his family and friends in the Nottinghamshire area, and then he went down to Northampton, HMP Five Wells, which is a little further. It's still doable from Nottingham. But HMP Earl Stoke? That's a 4-hour drive from Nottingham. It's not easily accessible from Nottingham. But it is quite close to the south coast. I don't know how he's worked that one. So, as well as local prisons in South Wales and Bristol in particular, Earl Stoke is made up of many a different hue. And the accommodation at the prison comprises of 8 accommodation units. I'll go through them for you. 3 enhanced, that's Imber, Sarum and Silbury A. 2 standard wings, Alfred and Wessex. There's a lifer wing at the prison. Lifer and long-term prisoner unit called Wren, and an induction unit, Silbury B. There is also a drug recovery unit, Marlborough, and a progressive regime unit. So, covers a wide spectrum of prisoner. Looking at HMP Earl Stoke, it's a very interesting place. But why has he been transferred to another prison for vulnerable prisoners? I don't believe he's having a great time inside. I think he's having it tough. It's not his natural domain. He can't do what he always does, because other prisoners might not take to that quite as readily. I believe that Alex Belfield is vulnerable. Katie said she was going to see him last weekend, and the prison service moved him without notice. Now, they don't, because for security reasons. They can't just say, oh, we're going to move this prisoner or that prisoner, and everybody gets a month's notice. It has to be done immediately, like on the spot. Get your gear, we're moving you. Now, remember, young Dougie the grifter, he has a lifetime monetization ban for breaching YouTube's harassment policy since February 2022. And something interesting, in YouTube's policy document, or whatever you want to term it, he and I have to upload one video as a minimum every 6 months. And if you don't, your channel can get squashed completely. Now, he hasn't uploaded a video since September 2022. So we're getting along 18 months. So I wonder why YouTube are allowing it to stay there. Because according to their own policies, that channel shouldn't exist. Now, he's gone HMP Stocken, HMP Five Wells, HMP Earl Stoke. 2 transfers, 3 jails in. He's only been at Earl Stoke maybe 10 days, 2 weeks tops. Katie's in there. Are you going to start touring, Katie, in 2025? I don't believe this boy's got it. I think the Alex Belfield that went into prison in September 2022 is not going to be the Alex that leaves prison. I believe he's had a torrid time in there. But 2 weeks in, easier for her to get to. She's on the south coast. So's he, virtually. He's not going to be allowed to walk away. They want the 2 gobshites live when he comes out, but I don't think he's going to have it. I think he'll need time to readjust. I believe whatever is happening to him inside is horrid, horrible, and traumatic. So the psychologists will be looking at him, and I think they're going to have a rare old time trying to figure him out. He's not playing this system at all, but he's being moved. Now, they will say, the system will say, he's either a risk to other prisoners, in which case they'll move him, put him in a higher category, put him in isolation, or he's a possible risk to himself, in which case they may move him around to try and get him to a prison that is more conducive to him healing. And I have maintained my stance from the very beginning. I hope he gets the help that he very evidently needs. I hope that he just gets his head down and grinds out the days, the weeks, the months, the years. And when he comes out, don't try and do what he used to do, because I'll guarantee you, from a man that knows, if he tries to go for the gas and puts his foot on the pedal, gas is not going to be there. He's going to have to take at least a few months to rest, recuperate and heal. Now this HMP Earl Stoke is an odd place, because there was a review of progress against an inspection in 2021 that the inspection was made by His Majesty's Chief Inspector of Prisons. Now, they did the inspection in 2021 and there was a review of progress published in May 2022. And here are some of the findings. So it'll give you understanding and context as to exactly what is going on in HMP Earlstoke. There were significant problems with drugs and alcohol. To quote the Chief Inspector of Prisons, they remained acute. Major problem with them, drugs and alcohol. In 2020, a prison officer, female prison officer, tried to smuggle, now I have to get this past YouTube's algorithm. She tried to smuggle crack Charlie. That's as far as I can go. The white stuff, the Colombian, crack Colombian. She tried to smuggle that as well as other stuff, namely the wacky stuff and tobacco, into the prison in her underwear. She, at Court of Appeal, like what Alex was told, if you appeal this sentence, the judge got it wrong and you could have up to another couple of years added onto your sentence. So be a good boy, don't appeal this and just grind your time out. She had her jail term increased at the Court of Appeal. She's called Hannah Gaves. She was 27 from Bristol and was stopped on her way into work at HMP Earlstoke in January last year with a bit of Colombian marching powder, 5 packets of tobacco and 6 grams of the most serious Class A with an 81% purity found in her knickers. She was going in. She was spotted going into a particular cell of a particular prisoner. And then the following day, they stopped her before she got into work. And she admitted carrying it. There have been riots in HMP Earlstoke. There have been blackmail plots by staff on other staff. And according to the Chief Inspector of Prisons, there was still some way to go before the ethos of a normal Category C training prison could be re-established. And until very recently, access to appointments in the health centre, this would be for vulnerable prisoners and their mental health issues, getting support around that, access to appointments had continued to be hindered by a lack of officers to escort prisoners there. Although, on the upside, the recently implemented new regime, this is all from the Chief Inspector of Prisons review in May 2022 that was published in May 2022. The recently implemented new regime had increased time unlocked from around 2 hours a day to an average of 6 hours a day on weekdays, and from 1 hour a day to around 4 hours at the weekend. And in their roll check, 32% of prisoners were off the units in education and workshops. But it's still not great. So you have to ask yourself, the most pertinent question is, why was he transferred? Remember, before he was going in, he was making videos on your knees with Belfield. I believe, and I know, because I've known him for such a long time, that the convicted stalker has a propensity to put weight on. Now, look, I'm not having a go at all, says Mr. Slim. But I know he copes with anxiety by eating. And he has an awful time with his weight. So I think there's a lot of anxiety around Dougie, the convicted stalker. And I think young Katie actually is doing an honourable thing by trying to give him some kind of support. I know she gave out his email address, and there will be people who are hard of thinking that might write to him. But this man is in jail for a reason. And no, it's not the system. No, he wasn't set up. Tens of thousands of emails. This boy is the most prolific stalker in British legal history, and guilty. He's a self-confessed liar. In the defamation case brought by Jeremy Vine, he admitted that what he had said was without foundation. So we get to the point where he's been in there for a fair while. He's over halfway through. But it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. So if you have any experience of working within the prison system, why would he be transferred from a Cat C to a Cat C to a Cat C? And I understand that they might have nice gardens at Earl Stoke, so he might be doing a bit of gardening. But why would they transfer him twice to similar prisons for different reasons? My name's Adrian Allen. Smash the likes, make sure that you are subscribed for more videos, and most of all, thank you for your indulgence. And whatever you do, don't forget the Battenberg.